through it to the audience, but it's just a chance to have a conversation with Ukie Hub Crawl 1010 Games. So first of all, thank you so much for coming along, and I'm going to let everybody know who you are and how the business is going at the minute.
Yes, my name's Alan Parsons. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of 1010 Games. We're based in Warrington, so we're in Wolves. I think I said that last time I was here. But my roots are in Liverpool. I started in QA and Signosis in 96 or something, did a couple of years there. Used it as my step into the industry, and then I worked at TT Games for 22 years or something like that. So I worked on everything from the bad, Rascal, back on PlayStation, and then obviously worked on all the Lego games over the years. But in 2021, I just got fed up of that and wanted to change after COVID and sitting on a screen all day because I like interaction with humans. And so decided that we would start something new. So there's 3 of us, 3 of us a team's call and a cardboard box. And now 3 years later, the reason I've not got a presentation is because we're in the middle of submission of our debut game, Funko Fusion, which will be coming out on September the 13th. So we've grown the business in those 3 years from 3 people to 92 there are now. And on that journey, we've gone from being a developer. We make loads of games, so we know how to make a game, that's fine. But in March this year, we weren't quite happy with just making a game as a challenge, so we decided to publish as well. So I now head up the publishing, and that's joyful. But all the stuff that has been mentioned, I can definitely relate to what you've gone through. There's no money. There's no money for anyone. There's no money for anything. UK Games Fund, as great as it is, guess what? We've got a co-founder who lives in America. Instantly red mark. So what's the point? What's the point of doing anything? Because we brought 90 people to Warrington and live. There's one in America, one in Germany, but most of them we've brought to Warrington. We haven't offset the 1.8 billion that the council owes, but we're trying to help. And so, we brought all these people here, but we still don't get anything. There's no money that anyone has been able to help us with, so we've had to fund everything ourselves. But to what Mark was saying, we're doing everything that Mark said, which is kind of heartbeat me, I guess.
And I thought that was a really lovely sort of transition from Mark's talk before to yours. Obviously, such a growth with the studio. How did you go about doing it?
We learn, I think, from the mistakes at TT Games. So I joined Traveller's Tales when there was 22 people, I think. And at its peak, Traveller's Tales had about 650 people. And so I saw all the mistakes that were made on that journey. I saw all the things that, they weren't mistakes, it was just, Disney called us hackers in a barn, because we were in a barn and there was no heating, there wasn't even a toilet, to be fair. And sort of, we were making games that got great success, Mickey Mania, Toy Story 2, things like that. And then it got big business and corporate, and we just grew, but we didn't know what we were doing. And so all sorts of things went right, all sorts of things went wrong. Commercially, things went right, but I think from a people and culture perspective, there wasn't investment there. So starting 1010, we started with 3 words on a bit of paper, which were people, profits, people, players, profits. And it was like, right, let's invest in people. And I think I'd invested in people in my previous job. And I think to Mark's point, I love the idea of everyone coming together, and I love the idea of trying to change education, and I love the idea of trying to change government. But I've heard that for nearly 30 years, and they don't listen, and education doesn't listen. And I'd love it to work, but I'm so cynical about people listening, and in education they don't listen, they don't change things, they don't change. You can't change a curriculum, it's that bad. So we decided to work with just a really small focus group of people, and our studio now has over 50% of those 90 people started at entry level, whether on an internship or whether on a junior level, just investing in, just taking a punt. Like years and years ago, I don't know if anyone remembers Mark Inman from Signosis, you might do. I rocked up at Signosis. I was working in the bookies, right? I dropped out of uni because I admire the fact you did engineering. I was a failed architect, wanted to do architecture, didn't get the grades, went to Liverpool because I've always wanted to move up from down south to do building engineering because I thought that's, didn't get the grades, but that's second fiddle. Hated every second of it, dropped out after 2 years. And answered a Liverpool Echo job ad. Went in, met Mark Inman. I rocked up in a suit. Anyone that ever used to work in Signosis QA knows exactly how that went down. Rocked up in a suit with a southern accent, with a room full of lads that were just like, what are you doing, mate? And Mark took a gamble on me because he was like, I love games. I've always played games since day dot, and I've always been interested in programming. When I could program back in the day, I can't now. And Mark took a punt on me, and I always remember that. And I think, you know what? I'll always take a punt on someone. And so, as a studio, when we started, yes, we did hire a group of people that we'd always worked together with. So the first 18 people were the senior people we'd made 15, 16 games together. And then it was like, right, invest in people. Let's go and find the best, brightest talent and take a gamble. And you know what? If the gamble doesn't work out, what we'll do is we'll find a different job for them. So if they don't work out as what they are, we'll do something else with them. We'll do something else, whatever it might be. And like I say, we've got over 50% of them joined as juniors. Half of them are mid-levels now. They've all been promoted. They've all had that mentorship. The highlight, well, he hates it, but I always put him on a pedestal, is Harry, who I found on a level 3 course at Priestley College in Warrington. And I went in as a favour to judge the final projects, which usually they're a bit ropey. And there was this one guy that stood up, full of confidence. The project was a bit iffy, but he was so full of confidence. And I was just like, you know what, why don't we try internships? Got him in on an internship. I think I knew Unreal better than any of the 18 of us, because we had been used to using our own engine. And I just said, do you want a paid internship for the summer for 3 months? And then after 3 months, when he was due to go on to study, I just said, go home tonight, talk to your parents. You've got a choice to make. Go to uni, or I'll give you a full-time job as I can't remember what we called it. I mean, we made up a name, like an interim junior or something, to like level below junior. I said, I'll give you a job for 22 grand a year. Came back, took the job, and 2 years later, he's sort of a mid-level designer. He's a superstar. But you don't find those people without putting investment in. And so that college course now, we actually run their entire January to June project. So they've just finished a project for us where this year we did Stranger Things with them and said, right, we give them a brief, send people in every 2 weeks, build a character, rig a character, animate a character, build a prop, design a level, and all the rest of it, and they have to make a little game for us. And then right at the very end, the bit that they do hate, they have to stand in their auditorium with there's probably about 50 people in there, and present it as a group of 18-year-olds. But we've actually hired a few of those people now, and the ones that we don't hire, when they hit university, they will fly because they've got the skills. I think Mark put it up on there about, do unis produce the right talent? No, they don't. They teach you the basics. They don't teach you personality, communication. Like, you're not allowed to call it soft skills anymore. I don't know what you're supposed to call it, but the ability to interact as a human being, none of that is taught. So we like to think we give you a step up, but we've now got, off the top of my head, 12 people on the team that have come from that college, gone to uni, and then come back to Warrington and joined us, which is great, and it's really exciting. And I think I loved your presentation because all through it I was like, yeah, and I had answers to everything because you put something on there about mentorship, and people don't invest time. They don't let their teams invest time enough. But what they don't realise is by sending your people to a college to talk to people or to present or to explain what they do, you're levelling up your own staff. So I've got people that would sit in the corner of a room and be super timid, and you go over to talk to them and they're like, oh, Arthur's going to talk to me, what's going on? But getting them out there, like expressing to other people what they do and they're passionate about it and they're so good at it, they come out of the show and they grow. So those 2 hours, it's literally 2 hours. Pop into college, say hello, have a coffee, talk to the students, look at the work, give them a bit of constructive feedback. That builds your own team. So we built our team by building other people. But to Mark's point, we're insular. We're doing it here in Warrington in a very little small area, only because I'm a cynic and I don't believe that anyone's ever going to change. I'd love it to. I'd love the mayor of Liverpool to. I'd love Andy Burnham to get involved. I'd love all these people to do what they say they're going to do, but they don't. That's the problem.
And thinking about sort of, you mentioned it a little bit, sort of like building the team as well. How did you sort of, having that many juniors, how did that sort of go with like the building, like Mark said before, the building of the culture? Did that kind of emerge bottom up with the juniors coming in?
It was what I wrote on Mark's board. I wrote personality. And it's really, really difficult because I've hired loads of people. Like, I think the design team that I used to have was, I think it was about 110. When I quit TT, I had 110 people in the design and technical design team underneath me. And I think I hired most of those people at some point. So I know what hiring's like, and I know what works and what doesn't work because I'd hired quite a lot of people. And so when we started the business, I said to the other people, I was like, I'm going to be in every interview. So we'll start every interview with me going, this is who we are. And obviously, day one, we had a cardboard box and a room with, I think there's 2 chairs. But so you bring people in and go, it'll be great, promise. But I was involved in every interview to go, this is who we are, this is what we're going to set out to do, and this is our journey to sort of like, where we are now with getting 1 launch, but also those next steps of when we get to 2 teams, when we get to 3 teams, and how we grow. This is what we're going to do, but more importantly, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to build from the ground up, and we're going to bring people in at the bottom, build those people up, because you take a gamble and invest on someone at the bottom, usually, as long as someone doesn't steal them, usually what happens is, if you treat them right, and you empower them, and you make sure they're paid well and looked after, they're loyal forever. So this mercenary attitude of hiring, getting recruiters and taking seniors and all the rest of it, it's so negative to the industry. You were so right, Mark, about that, because we're going to end up with no people. So it's like, we'll bring people in the bottom, we'll grow them with the business. If you bring someone in at a senior level, the first thing that happens is that whole team demotivated. Where do I go? I wanted to be promoted, I wanted this, I wanted the other. But bringing people at the bottom, it's like, okay, cool, I can mentor someone now, I can teach that person, I can help them learn what they're doing. And then that person's coming up and goes, oh, actually, you were where I was. So you just create a natural ecosystem that works perfectly. It doesn't always work. Like, we'll hold our hands up. Sometimes we get it wrong, but everyone, like the coders can code, right? An artist can build a prop, an animator can animate. So they can all do it to a level. And obviously there is a bar where people aren't quite good enough, but most people can. I get involved in every interview to pitch the studio as this is our culture, but also to assess their personality. Are they going to fit? Are they the right fit? Are they? And I know it sounds really stupid. Are they a good human? Like, are they going to come in and be nice? Are they going to accept people for who they are? If they've got any like bizarre views that are going to upset people, then you're not welcome. And as such, that's how we do it. So I get the final call on pretty much everyone we hire. which might seem a bit all like dictatorial, but it's not. It's consistency, and it creates that consistent vibe. And everyone now knows if anything goes wrong with the studio, it's my fault. But we also, there's a load of stuff, I don't want to bore people, but there's a load of stuff we do in terms of, like, we have our own internal NPS survey. Every 3 months we send an anonymous thing out to the studio. Would you recommend this as a place to work? 0 to 10, and there's a comments box. Say what you want, we're not bothered. And then we present that to the studio, we talk it through, and we've had some rough stuff come back, and then we evolve and we deal with it. Every 2 weeks, Paul and I get up and talk to the studio, and we tell them everything. Anyone that's in the industry knows you're there and you have secrets, right? You've got to talk about stuff. I remember having to talk to the team on a game. I knew that game was cancelled, but I was told I couldn't say anything. So it's like, I'm saying, yeah, that's great, yeah, that'll be great, yeah, when I pitch that next week and fly to the States, it'll be great. It's cancelled. They're all cancelled, they're all getting repurposed, whatever's happening. It's awful. Whereas they know everything. They know royalty rates on our contracts, they know who we're going to hire, they know how much it costs per square foot in our office. Because we're investing in them and going, we're investing in you, so you invest in us as a studio. We'll see how it pans out. But we're at the point now, like, yeah, we're tagging for submission. What day is it today? Thursday. Tomorrow, because we did it last week. It wasn't quite good enough. But anyway, we're tagging tomorrow for submission, and we've got here with a team made of predominantly juniors, with no overtime, no crunch, nothing. And I tell you what's been hard. I come from the place where some people in this room will have come from, sleeping under your desk, not seeing your family, 90+ hour weeks. So it's quite refreshing to do a 9 to 5. But I go home and then do work, so no one sees that. But it's like we've managed to do what we set out to do. We said we'd do that. But it's hard because no one helps you. Not one person. Even the nice man that works in money in Warrington in the council that said it helps us loads. Done nothing. So nobody helps you. And I think if it wasn't for being able to talk to people that we know and get a little bit of advice here and there, because I think that was one of the things I was going to say to whoever it was that asked about the Games Fund pitch. Get in touch with people from the industry to look at your pitch. I'll look at your pitch. I've made some terrible pitches over the years, trust me. And I usually get away with it by waving my hands around and saying adjectives. Because corporate suits don't understand creative people. They understand the pitch with numbers, and you can read people, and as it goes wrong, just start saying creative things, and you decide and wave your arm, and you can see them get lifted, and it's like, oh, thank God for that. You breeze your way out of there. Get the green light to go and spend God knows how many $1 million on a game, and off you go. And at the end of it, you know in your head a game's going to be great, but a corporate suit that's probably never even held a controller is the person that's roadblocking you. Which is why this is beautiful, what we're doing now. We're in control of our own destiny. If our game goes belly up and we're all out of the job at the end of the year, we did it. But we don't care. That's what we want. We want that autonomy. That's why we decided to publish. I've never published a game in my life. Never. I've made about 30, but I've never published one. And I'm legals, financial forecasts, dull, the dishwater, approving marketing budgets, asset sign-off, legal lines on a trailer, ratings, and then arguing with them. It's like, it's too much blood, you're a Peggy 16. It's like, what? It's like, it's toys, it's Funko Pops. It's like, the heads fall off, the toys. It's realistic decapitation. Oh, word. Right, we'll take Peggy 16, it's fine. But there you go, sorry. But yeah, no, it's. I'm reinvigorated making games, but again, that comes from. There's people in my office that are younger than my kids. Like my kids are what? Eldest is 28, youngest is 17. Harry's 20. Harry's my superstar. He's 20. Ewan's 22. Jen's 21. They're all younger than my kids. And they have that enthusiasm of like, oh, what about this game? And they're showing me stuff. I don't even know what it is. What's Skibbity Toilet? Like, what are you watching? And it's like, oh, it's dead popular with the kids. And you watch it a bit and you go, I can understand it, but yeah. TikTok as well. I get educated on TikTok. And yeah, talking about views, like we're going to launch a trailer. I'm going to Comic-Con on next Wednesday. And we're going to pay money behind this trailer. We haven't put any money behind trailers yet. Trailer from in April, like over 15 million views, and we couldn't work out why. Because we're looking on YouTube and it's like, no, like it's 400,000 views, that's all right. And then I looked on YouTube, this one fella that just stood there shouting, like over the trailer, 3.2 million views. What is this? It's like, obviously I know what TikTok is, like for cats and dogs and stuff, but I didn't realise how good a weapon it is. So yeah, we're putting money behind Sparks ads, and it's like, okay, this is cool. I'm meeting up with, I'm actually going to meet the TikTok crew next week, and we're going to do a load of stuff with them because they're doing some new exciting stuff. And it's like, right, let's invest in that. Let's not do the old TV adverts and all that boring stuff. But not even do YouTube ads. Let's just go for Instagram Reels.
Short form.
Yeah, TikTok. Because that's and again, that's the juniors that come in and teach you that. They've got the attention span of me, because I'm really impatient. I can't play any Elden Ring type game, or what's the one with the Yabby guy in the intro on the car, the RPG. I've got the name of it. Bought that game 3 times. I've never got more than 5 minutes into it. So the narrative bores me. So I'm probably a 20-year-old in a 50-year-old body, but it's like they educate you on the fact that people have got short attention spans. Make games that are short bite-sized stuff, advertise them just snappy, like you've got 10 seconds to get them. That's not a different sort of thing. But yeah, juniors is the future. And we've all got to do it, but we've had to fund it ourselves. We've had to be really, really solid. Every junior gets the same wage as well, by the way. So they all know what they're getting. They get told. It's like the entry-level wage, I think it went up with inflation. I think it's like junior entry-level role is 26.5 grand. And it's like, there you go. You're all paid the same. But you've all got your development plan, you've all got a mentor, you've all got check-ins every month, you've all got a people person, and you've all got time with me and Paul and John, because that's also important. There's no fear factor. Come in and tell me if something's garbage. Don't sit there and mutter to your friends or go to the pub and moan and bitch about it. Just tell us and we'll fix it. And that again, that's you've got to make sure they know that. There's no sort of doorway blocking that.
So, is there any questions that for the audience? You've got a question?
No, just go by the game. Sorry.
Well, I'm going to ask. I mean, now you've just encapsulated what needs to happen. It's an ecosystem, and it's an expectation around the cyclical nature of talent and retention as well. But I was going to ask you, because you were saying, if it doesn't work out for them in this particular aspect, then you move them across. It's like almost like this quiet hiring, around that term 24 hours ago. This idea that you're giving people more responsibility internally, because A, it cuts out your recruitment costs, which you, as you say, if you're heavily invested in that, the recruitment costs are going down. If you try to hire 90 people to do your game on a, general recruitment level, will cost you, goodness knows how much. So how do you define, does that mean that people feel like they can shift regardless of how good they are on a particular aspect?
Basically what we found is if someone lands with the studio and we think we know where they're going to fit, they've been hired for a certain role, if they don't fit that exact mould, we've hired them for a reason, largely because they've got some creative talent. They're a human that's a decent human. So we'll move them. So we've moved people from technical design into asset art, we've moved people from art into technical design, we've moved someone from QA into programming. Like, there are people with skills, and it's not all interchangeable, we know that, but if we've hired someone and we've done it right, we've hired the right person, 9 times out of 10 they'll be the right position. If not, can we find something else for them? You don't just let them go, because you've got someone for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So you try and retain them in whatever way you can. I've got someone in who covers studio ops, and it's like, that's a very broad role. It's like, initially it was like, yeah, I know you're a great person, right? Let's do studio ops. What does that mean? It's like, I don't know. We'll kind of make it up as we go along, but it will be like engaging with local soft when we want like localization, or speaking to like kudos who do our QA, and like managing those relationships, managing the relationship, like not necessarily the relationship, but the asset pipeline of like sending stuff to IP holders. And so over time that role has grown from someone that was like, you're a producer, but I haven't got a producer role, but I know you're an awesome person. And so now it's like, it's an integral role. I can't live without that person. And so you just try and find a role for those people. And even some of the people that we've hired that we didn't hire when we had an internship, because we can't hire every intern. So you know, we do it's a proper recruitment process, and we bring them in and we interview them. We make them sort of like get that experience of, grilling's the wrong word, because our interviews are always normally about, oh, what movie do you like, and oh, have you ever played this? But it's quite intimidating when you've got 3 people there talking to you. But we stay in touch with the ones that we don't hire, and so we've actually hired some that have gone to uni and come back, because we knew, again, they were good people. But it really isn't easy, and no one, like as I've said it a few times, no one's kind of helped us on the way. But I have got experience of hiring senior people. Usually, and this is really generous, I probably shouldn't say, usually there's 2 things going on. One, they're not very good at their job, which is why they're looking to move. Or 2, they're looking to be promoted by moving.
Yeah.
And we've all been a little bit jaded and a little bit burnt out at various times. Sometimes that's who you're hiring. You're hiring the person that doesn't fit, that's a bit burnt out. You're paying through the nose. Recruitment fees, 15, 20%. You hire someone on 50 grand, where there's 10 grand just gone. I've got friends that are recruiters, I'm not knocking them, they do a great job. We use recruiters when it's like super specialist role, we can't. But we went and hired a load of people that were seniors ourselves. It was hard, it was a hard grind, going through LinkedIn, finding people, tracking them down, hunting them. I'm not spending 250 grand on recruitment. That's 10 junior staff.
Yeah.
So why would I spend that money on recruitment? So we try and spend as little as we can. Into games, right? I read that article. I was really angry, by the way, with Brandon, because some of the stuff he was saying was like, because we've partnered with Into Games for 3 years now, like, we do this, we like name drop, like perfect opportunity to name drop, so that I can start shouting at government people, but he didn't. But yeah, going through the stuff that they did with the Into Games 50, Search for a Star. Like, Search for a Star, I've never done a design category. So I said, right, I'll write the brief. I'll do the brief and all the rest of it. In the knowledge that when I go to Sheffield, I've got 5 amazing people that are going to be in front of me. It's cost me a train fare to Sheffield, which is what, 25 quid or something. But it's like, a little bit of investment doing the brief. Yes, we have to then judge all the entries, and my word, someone submitted an empty Unreal project. It's like it was basically just a dude walking around an empty Unreal level. It's like, that's really nothing. But most of the entries are great. Whittle it down. I think we've hired 6 people in 2 years from Search for a Star. Just turn up and hire them. But I'm there, I get the relationship, I don't have to go through a recruiter. So when you get the email afterwards going, here's all the winners, I've already met them. I've already spoke to them, so I'm hiring that one, that one, and that one, and they're brilliant, and it costs me 20 odd quid and a dodgy sandwich in Sheffield.
No, that's a good one to finish on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries.